Good afternoon. We're here with Vanessa Harwood. Did I say that correctly?
Yes.
Just from memory. And this is a special feature from the Norman-Felix-Gallery. And it's www.norman-felix.com. And it's Contact 2016. And the show is on from May 1st to May 31st. There's a reception on May 26th. Am I correct?
You're right, yes.
And the address is actually here at 600 Bay Street, Suite 510. There's something for everyone, and they're featuring different artists and photographers. And Vanessa is just new with the Norman Felix Gallery. She joined them back in March, correct?
Yes, I did, yes.
And you do a lot of photography, and you've already sold some of your work. And you started out as a ballerina yourself. So why don't we start from there?
All right. Well, I was a ballerina with the National Ballet of Canada for 22 years.
Wow.
And then after I retired from ballet, I did a number of different things, some television, I did a play. And one day I was actually a volunteer for Toronto Arts Foundation that did the Toronto Arts Awards, and one of the employees there did photography and film, and he was taking some pictures of something one day, and I said, oh, how does that work? How does the camera work? I didn't even know how to put film in a camera, literally. So he showed me, and I said, I think I've got a camera like that at home. My husband has one. And sure enough, my husband had a full camera kit.
Fantastic.
Full, with lenses and a Nikon film camera. Fantastic. So anyway, that's how I got started, and he said just, learn and take pictures and try things out, and then I learned a bit more, and then I traveled a lot and took pictures. But he also, this fellow, was also a filmmaker, and he made the trailers for the Moving Pictures Festival, and that was a few years ago. It's not going anymore. So I did his still photography for his films. So that's where actually...
Which films would they be? Do you remember?
In fact, the pictures in this show are of a break dancer, and his name is Jesse. Unbelievable guy. He break danced for 10 hours. He was 18.
Well,
unbelievable. And
when you're 18, you can do that.
I know, but and he was fantastic, and so the photography was almost automatically good because of what he was doing, and the fellow who was in fact the director of photography was helping me with the lighting and the settings and so on. So that's kind of how I learned.
Wow.
And so then I just went from there, and two of the photographs in this show are of the Royal Ballet School in England, and it's a pair of dancing legs.
Neat.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you something, because you can rarely even pick up film today if you have a camera to put it in. Where do you buy it? There's so many few places even selling it anymore,
yes.
Which is really distressful, because I used to be a pretty good shot myself, and I would take a lot of pictures when I was traveling and that sort of thing. And I stopped using it. My kids, of course, are all into their
digital
phones.
Using
their phones. And in this age of, I don't even know if you call it the age of the selfie, because I find it very self-centered. They're not taking pictures of really good things. It's always, here's our meal.
Yeah, I know. I'm a little bit afraid of all of that. There were these young girls taking selfies of themselves at the baseball game, and I'm going, oh, please, just take a picture, the old, Anyway, I don't have a cell phone that takes pictures. I do have a digital camera now, and I still haven't learned all the things to do with it, and I don't actually take film anymore.
So when you decided to, you were telling me that you volunteered one time, and that's how you got into with the Norman Felix group, correct?
Oh, it's interesting how we got hooked up. It was at the hairdresser.
Everything happens at the hairdresser.
Isn't that? I'm sitting getting my hair done, and Erin, it's her gallery, was getting her hair done, and I have no idea how we got into whatever we were getting into, that she had a gallery, then I was doing photography, and I said, well, maybe I could just show you my stuff, you know. So anyway, I dropped it off. She says, oh, okay, sure, drop it off. So I didn't hear for like about a month or so because she was busy and, you know, all that. So then one day she says, oh, yeah, come on in. We like your stuff.
Good.
So let's do something. So that's how I got there.
You focus more on black and white, or in
both.
Stills, or
I have my early stuff. A lot of it is black and white. I have a really nice collection of black and white, but I also have color too.
Personally, when I look at a black and white photo, to me, it's more intense.
I agree.
Sometimes
I like the black and white
because you have color all around you. You see it, but when you look at a black and white photo of someone, even there's a certain intensity and depth that there isn't.
You know, and especially with film. And
yes.
I don't make. Oh, there they are.
Oh, okay. Is this the break dancer?
That's the break dancer.
And this was for a movie?
And that was for a movie. These are the ballet legs.
Cool.
And then
wow.
Oh, he was. And then there's 4 of those different positions from the flip.
You gotta wonder.
Like, look at that. He's just. I've also got one that isn't in this series that. With that sort of almost moonscape, he's sort of looks like he's walking above the moon.
Wow.
He was amazing.
So he took the moonwalk to a different level.
Yes, he did. Off of the moon. Yeah, off the moon.
Off the moon, wow.
Yeah. And I think some of those photographs have been published in international dance magazines, so they've used my photography.
That's excellent. So even though you haven't been there a long time, you're certainly getting a lot of exposure.
I was, and I just think that the dance was a good way to start because I knew exactly what was going on the other side, and I always say I know where the top of the movement is, but that's difficult with digital now. It's much. Film cameras are instant. What you take is what you get, whereas digital's not quite the same. And digital, when they, really complicated stuff, they do it through computer, and it that leaves me back at the past a little bit,
Yeah, same with me. I think if I had to get a digital camera, I would have trouble loading it into my computer because I wouldn't understand about the different cards.
Well, I know some of it. But I'm learning.
That's great.
Isn't that what life's about, to learn?
Constantly.
I mean, if you keep on trying, and so that's what I'm doing. And having fun doing it, too.
Well, that's the important thing.
I go off with the camera for an hour, and the time just goes.
It's your time out of mind.
It's all yours, yeah. And so I really enjoy it. I really do.
Now, tell me something. When does a dancer really stop dancing professionally?
Well, I left the National Ballet. I was just shy of my 40th birthday, but I continued for another 5 years. So, in fact, I was 45 when I retired my point shoes, my tutus, and they went out the door. Then I continued to dance, but just, I don't know, this, that, and the other. And I did a performance when I was 57, so that was my last performance. And then I said, that's it, I don't want to do another plie.
So I would say then that you are probably really fit and everything.
Mostly fit.
If you did, you're still doing a performance at 57.
Yeah, it was. And I said it was a choreographer from DNA, and he's not really a choreographer. He's kind of an artist that puts things together, and he wanted me to dance. So I said, okay, look, I won't wear anything too tight, no big jumps, no big splits, just, not too too complicated like that. I was even concerned I could remember the steps.
Wow.
Because I hadn't done it for a while. So we agreed to work for a week together. I said, okay, at the end of the week, we will sit down and look at each other and say, can either of us continue this? Can I continue physically, mentally, and do you want me to continue physically and mentally? Anyway, we both said yes, and we did it.
Yeah, wow. And you were ready for it.
I was fine.
Because you...
Yep. I knew what I was up against.
You were disciplined enough still that you could put it all into focus. And
and we did like a week's performances. And then I said after that, because you have to stay in shape, you have to do your class, you have to do your plies and your stretches and everything daily, no matter what.
For how long? When you're starting out? Now, I know the train... but how many hours a day would you have to do that?
If you're a professional dancer in a ballet company,
which you were
doing 6 or 7 hours a day.
And that's just...
Every day.
Every day.
Except maybe Sunday. And sometimes Saturday.
So when you get into a rehearsal for something, then does the day become even more strenuous?
Yeah, it's just very long. You start at 10, you do an hour and a half of class, and then you can rehearse for 6 hours.
Non-stop?
Yeah, I mean, you have a break for lunch. You have an hour off for lunch. And sometimes you don't do 6 hours every single day, but it's possible. Depends on your schedule and what you're doing.
Now, these questions are just my own curiosity coming off the top of my head. But it's interesting because I always wonder, okay, so if you're a ballerina with a national company, okay, national ballet, what do they tell you that you can eat?
Well, you have to stay thin however you can.
Really?
But you have to stay thin, but you have to stay strong.
So what would you eat to stay thin and strong?
Well, we kind of, good old salads and chicken and fish and things that that give you protein. And I used to eat a lot of yogurt, and I still do actually. And it was sometimes it was a trial. Sometimes it was a trial. When I was younger, I had a little bit of baby fat, and so I was getting hounded about losing weight. And I ended up...
What do they consider a little bit of fat?
I was probably about maybe 100 and... Well, at one point I was 120 pounds, and that's heavy, because when I lost weight, I was 105. So that's 15 pounds.
That's about what I weigh, 105 pounds. And I think it's closest to the best I can be, because I can't put on weight.
Oh, well, you're lucky, because I can't be 105 anymore. I'm not that. But so I had to lose weight, and I ended up going to... this is 1969, the year they put the man on the moon. And I was in Russia, and then I came back, and I was in the south of France, and I studied in the summer for a month. And I had no money. When I mean no money, I mean no money. I was living on...
So how did you survive?
Oh, about $3 a day, and I lived on tomatoes and yogurt. That's it. And
no croissant?
No. And I had one meal a week. And I lost 15 pounds. So
but where did you live?
I lived...
No money. How did you...
Well, there was... because it was in a studio there. There's a summer school in Cannes. It was in Cannes. And through the summer school, they have a hotel where the students live. So I think I was in a room with 3 or 4 other students, and it was $3 a day to stay. Wow. And you got breakfast, which was a bun and a coffee.
But at least you had good coffee.
It was good coffee, good cafe au lait. It was great. And I could swim every day in the ocean, and it was great.
But that's a very exciting journey you've been on.
Oh, I've had quite an interesting life, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now with this show coming up, and there's a bank behind this?
Yes, this is the Scotia Bank. They sponsor, or I guess, yeah, they're the main sponsor for the Contact Festival. And the Contact Festival is on every May, and it's a photography festival. So there are going to be exhibits all over the city right now.
So they do.
Everywhere.
Who decides where do they go?
I guess people apply to have them.
No, but who decides where the exhibits are is what I'm trying to
I would
get
imagine
at.
all the different galleries sort of apply and say that they're going to do it. And then I guess it's the galleries themselves that have their artist show. That's how it works.
Now, the bank sponsorship, would you consider it, considering the size of the banks, a minimal amount or a decent amount?
Oh, I would imagine it's a fairly good amount. There is also a Scotiabank Photography Prize, not actually, they've just had it actually. And I think it's a $50,000 prize.
For the best?
For a photographer.
Uh-huh.
You have to apply for that. And, but, I've seen they're all over the place. It just says, if you've applied and it says contact, then it goes in, there's promotional papers and promotional stuff, and then your name goes in and where you are and what you're doing and all of that. So it's neat.
So let me ask you this. When do you think that you'll have the kind of photograph that you're so proud of and blessed to take, that you will put yourself out there? Like, what does it take to do that? Do you have anything that you like right now that you think that could go that distance?
Yeah, I don't know. I know I have a couple of images that sell really well. And the reason they sell well is because they're very peaceful and calming, and people look at them and they just go, yeah. In fact, my dentist bought one of my photographs because everybody calms down when they look at this photograph. It's a boat.
Which one? It's a boat.
It's a boat.
Yeah. Well, the water is also very calming.
But it's misty and anyway. So that's one very popular one, and there's another one that's trilliums in a forest. And that's very popular. And the one...
And that would be very serene as well.
Very serene. It's very pretty. And then the other one I really like, it looks like a drawing. It's a black and white.
Like a sketch?
That's what it looks like. It's not. It's a plant. It's called I think it's called a century plant or parsley something. And it was taken on the edge of the Tweed River in Scotland and up against the sky. And the sky was gray, so you can see all the little. It's as if someone did it with a pencil, just black and white. And
that's just nature.
And that's just nature, yeah. And it's finding that, which is the fun part,
Now, I would imagine that going to Scotland with all the mist and everything else, or constantly on there in the hills and the lavender and everything else that grows, would be for some excellent.
Yes,
photographs.
I've got some lovely photographs that were taken on January the 1st, 2000.
Good for you.
On the North Sea.
On the North Sea.
Yeah.
Now, are any of those in the collection?
No, there's only... You've seen all that I've got in the collection at the moment. There'll be more. In fact, I don't know, I have to discuss this with the gallery, but of course, but I have a series of... 10, not really photographs because they're a collage of Vietnam.
That would bring back a lot of memories.
Well, a lot of memories, and also with Vietnam, I think it's really important for people to see what Vietnam is. They have the memories, so that's what they think. And it's turned into an amazing country with amazing people.
I don't know if I should... Well, I'm going to bring it up because it's on my mind.
Fine.
But ever since all that napalm and Agent Orange was dropped on there, I recently heard that even today, there's birth defects still going on, and that is horrific.
It's horrific, and we drove through that whole area, which was Agent Orange, And just now the trees are coming back.
Just now.
Just
so
now.
it took over 50 years for
Almost,
for
It
the
to come
shrubbery
back.
to grow and the,
Yeah.
the trees. And to
It's
think of that
horrific.
devastation. And for what?
And for what? No, I know that it's very, very sad. And yet, when you see, you'd think the people would hold a grudge against white North
but
Americans.
There's generations after them.
They don't.
They had to grow and they had
They're
to
amazing.
have a lot of, and the human spirit is so incredibly resilient.
They're amazing people.
But if you have another generation of, peace-loving people, and to get back in touch with the spirit and the self, because they have to.
They have
Otherwise,
to,
how can you live
yeah.
in a country that was so
Devastated.
demolished, devastated, everything? I couldn't even begin to think of D words that would describe.
It's interesting that Saigon, which is really Ho Chi Minh City now, is quite developed now with newer buildings and everything. But Hanoi is still very much the way it was. They haven't. It's still quite communist feeling, and they don't have. They have some new buildings, yes, but they don't have the big towers and things like that. Whereas they have a bit more of that in Saigon.
In Saigon.
Yeah. In fact, this is from Saigon.
The skirt.
The little skirt.
And it's probably handmade.
Well, I know. I'm sure. No. Well, it depends what you call handmade. I mean, it came. I went in the store, and they had all the little clothes. You try them on. You go, okay, this is the one I want. And they said, oh, just a minute. And they go in the back, and they find the size and the skirt that you want in a package.
Oh.
In the back.
So they make them all
They
there.
make them all up, and then, they give it. So this came out of a package, not off, as we buy them off the shelf.
But you don't see, for example, who's really doing the laboring to make all these.
Yeah, we stopped off at a place. We didn't see inside where they were making them, but there was a big factory where they made a lot of stuff. But then also they've got jobs.
Yes.
And some of these factories are, the one I saw was modern.
Okay. Chris, are we going to take a break?
Just we gotta wrap it up.
Okay.
Wrap it up. Okay. Here we are
so,
talking about Vietnam.
That's a funny way to get off from from ballet, dance, photography, art in Vietnam.
I know. Well,
that's such a hodgepodge, but that's life, right?
that's who I am now.
Yes.
That's what I am. I just
So we're just going to take a little break because I noticed that there's
somebody else.
Couple of people coming in. I don't know if they're part of the group. I'll find out.
Right.
But it was a pleasure speaking with you,
Yes,
and I
thank
will
you.
look forward to coming
the party.
to see.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Vanessa.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you.